What's up, guys, and welcome back. So today's the day, building is being erected. The guys just showed up. I want to show you guys what we did real quick. Came and spread gravel around the entire perimeter of the building, with the exception of right here where we're going to run our power. But I needed that done in a hurry before these guys showed up. Reason being, once this building is erected and the roof is on, it's just going to shed water right down to the side, and I don't want any erosion. I also went and had more boulders placed just to shore up this rock wall a bit. I don't think I was in danger of any type of erosion with these big boulders here, but I just wanted to play it safe, and now I feel really confident that we're going to be in good shape. So these guys had so much weight on the trailer, they're going to actually have to leave it right there and hike everything up to the site. I feel kind of bad for them, but it's just been a rainy mess lately that they're digging in with their tires, and they just can't pull the weight up that hill of the driveway. So they're stacking up the double bubble insulation right there. I'm going to start carrying all the material forward. Now you can't see on video, but there is a slight bow in the slab on the left 40-foot side that kind of does a dip this way. It's very, very slight, so you're not going to see it on camera, but that is going to translate to the roof line if I don't do anything down here. So there's two options in terms of dealing with that. We could either shim underneath the long rails that they put, or the long rails that they're going to put down have little feet on them that the building frames slide onto. So they might either, fasten it down kind of all the way on this end and on the far end, and then raise them up a little bit in the middle to compensate. But I think we're probably just going to wind up going with the shims. These are the shims that I went out and had cut yesterday. I have 3/8-inch cold rolled steel bar stock that I cut into 2-foot pieces, and I had the remainders cut into 2x2 squares, which is the size of the metal rails in the building. I also did 1/8 inch too, so we have a variety of sizes. It's a little misty out this morning, but it's supposed to dry up in a couple hours. So he's got the rails down. There's a very, very, very slight gap on that side, so we'll probably shim it up a little bit, but it's hardly as noticeable as I thought. So they've got their bottom framing set up where they're cut out for the front door right there, and then cut out for the center garage door right there. Upright framing is all up. I think they're going to start getting the purlins, which are the strips that go across the roof. They tie everything together and also support the roof. All right, so day one is complete. I know it's kind of sunny behind me and you can't really see too well, but they are moving right along. So they got this first row of horizontal bracing around the building. There's gonna be another one. That's at 4 feet. There'll be another one at 8 feet. It's a 12-foot high building. So if I can make an assumption, come tomorrow, they'll put that second row up and then they'll start laying roof down. They have to put insulation on first before the roof goes down. There is one problem they're gonna need to address, and I'm gonna come out here first thing in the morning and make sure they get on that. But as you can imagine, the first thing I did when they left is try to open the door, and it sticks. So I thought maybe it was this kind of the screws and the jam are a little bit tight, but what it is that, I don't know if you can see it. There you go. Look at the post in the back of the building, and look at the post of the jam. See how it kicks in this way? Can you guys pick that up? So what has to happen is this horizontal header has to come up a little bit, and this bottom of the upright has to kick in to make this door level, so it sits nice and flush and straight. That's why it's kind of jamming up when we go to open it. So I'll make sure they do that first thing. So there was a considerable gap under that rail, as I predicted. The shims worked out great. You can see daylight right there on camera. So what I think I'm going to do is actually, so it'd be nice to have kind of a clean out if I want to wash down with a hose. So we're going to leave that space, maybe pack it with foam that can pull it in and out whenever I want. And then I'll run some flashing along this side and on that side to just kind of seal up any residual daylight that's left or gap that's left there. And I'll seal everything up good with caulk. So other than the door issue, I'm pretty happy with how things are turning out. Seems to be that they're doing a good job. I like the space that I've gotten here. I did pull that doorknob out just now because it's complete and utter trash. So just kind of stuck it right there, but we'll get ourselves a better doorknob. And they're gonna, like I said, they're gonna have to readjust this framing anyway. And that's a testament to the fact that it should be readjusted, because this door, even without the knob, won't even open. So that's the only thing I'm upset about, is they got to shift this over, but you know, things happen. We caught it and we'll be able to fix it. Well, I'm gonna go buy myself a doorknob and I'll catch you guys right back here in the morning. All right, so the guys are back this morning behind me working. As you can see, they got the first row of double bubble insulation along the bottom. A lot of back and forth. We're having a little bit of a communication problem. These guys working speak Spanish only, and my Spanish is Spanish-less. So I can understand quite a bit of it, but I really can't communicate it effectively. So I'm having to keep showing them things, and we go back and forth, and they don't understand what I'm saying, and it takes a long time to get things right. So the front door was kind of canted off to the side, and it was sticking. And what they were doing is they were following the profile of the concrete for setting the door, but the concrete is graded away from the high side of the land so that water will run off it, which is why the door was sticking. You have to center the door up square so that it opens even, you know, square to gravity, so to speak, not to the slab itself necessarily. So it took about 5 tries of moving the door around to get that effectively communicated, but we're getting there. So I opted to have 2 different color sidings, or a wainscoting along the bottom, if you will. So that's a 4-foot panel. They're putting down the 40-foot side. Just a black wainscoting that they're getting installed now. They have there's a bottom trim that goes on. It's called rack guard. I'll explain that a little bit more in detail in a little bit. And then there's a top piece that kind of caps it in. And then they go on top of that top cap with another different color siding. So as you guys just saw on the other side of the building, they're getting the white part of the siding up, and they're actually placing the windows on the inside of the building, and then they go ahead and cut out from the inside. So they're starting the white siding at the top of the front building. I have a little bit of an issue with this because the siding has ribs in it, as you can see, and if you start at a different location from where you already have bottom siding, the ribs might not line up with the bottom. It's my idea that you should start from left to right, or from right to left so it all lines up. So just as I suspected, rather than start from left to right and match the ribs on the black siding, they started in the center with the white siding, and as soon as they started working their way over this way, they didn't match the ribs on the black siding. So rather than just redo those top 2 pieces and work from left to right, they're redoing all the black siding around the bottom. Can't make this stuff up. This has literally been the whole project. I mean, every screw, every bar, every upright, every piece of siding, everything so far has just been like, you wouldn't believe it. You'd have to be here. I'm really pulling my hair out over here. It's kind of stressful. You know, it's not a cheap purchase. Not that that should matter anyway if it was cheap. I mean, you got to do things right, but it's just all the more frustrating when you're spending a lot of money. You want things done a certain way. All right, so it's the end of day 2. They're saying they will be done by tomorrow. They need one more day. I suppose that's possible. They still have to do the roof, and they have one more side that has to go on. Actually, 2 more sides. This side and the back. Upper portion of siding has to go on. So, slow progress. There's lots of little corrections that I have to make as I go along, which is kind of frustrating. I'm sure it's equally frustrating for them as it is for me, because we're not communicating so well. Some of the things are not so much me being a nitpicker. Some of the things are just kind of, in my opinion, not really very acceptable. Let me show you one of them. When you give me a piece of capping, don't leave a cut in it like that. That kind of stuff really bothers me. The insulation, you know, you got to tape your seams up. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I haven't taped any of the seams, and you know, assume that they're still going to do that yet, but I have a feeling they're not. They're just going to leave it like that. These should really be taped up, because insulation, if it's untaped, doesn't really insulate so well. Also, just pride in craftsmanship. I mean, don't leave something looking like that, you know? Here's another example. I went to put my own doorknob on and replace the cheesy one that comes with it. And the door sticks because right there's a screw on the top of the door. The door is still not lined up exactly correct, and it kind of digs into the weather stripping and the aluminum channel. So, I mean, it closes and opens fine, but it's still, you know, that's not right. And really, I'm not even sure how much I can blame the guys that are installing it, but they've got pan head screws up here, which are, you know, the raised type head screw, and it should be a flat head screw. When you have something that close of proximity to a channel, it just kind of doesn't make sense to have something that sticks up, you know? So, I mean, that's something that I could remedy very simply by putting a pan head screw in place of this. But, I mean, you really shouldn't have to do that. It should close, you know, without that being an issue. Here's another example of lots of little things that raise my eyebrows. They screwed this capping on where the garage door is, and I don't know if you can see very well on camera, but they're really going monkey tight on these fasteners, and you're not supposed to. The way they're designed is they have this neoprene washer around them, and these are the same fasteners that they're going to use for the roof. Now, if you go monkey tight and crush these down like that, they will leak. You're not supposed to be, you know, denting this capping in like that. That's way too tight. So if you do that on the roof panel, we're going to have leaks, and that concerns me a little bit. You've got the insulation a little bit too long here on the bottom, and it's sticking out. Cut that shorter and then fasten your siding over it. Anyway, I know these are small little issues. They do kind of tend to get to me, though. I know everything's fixable, and I do have faith that it's going to come out right in the end. But it just kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. Anyway, that's it for today. We'll be back out here in the morning. So the guys are back out this morning. They're getting that side up. They got the roof insulation up, and they're starting to trim out the soffits and eaves. They still haven't put the actual roof on yet, but they're about to get to that any minute. They still got to cut out windows on this side as well. So those side pieces they're getting on now are called boxed eaves. It kind of closes in your soffit while still letting the air come in through the side and up out the gable vent. All right, here we are. The guys just left, wrapped up day 3. We are finished with the building. Just wrote a big fat painful check, but had to be done. We worked through some communication problems, a couple screw ups here and there, some things I wanted corrected, some things I didn't like. At the end of the day, they did take care of everything I asked, and I am happy with the building overall. I decided to go with, the size of the building is 26 by 40. I really wanted to go to 30 by 40, but the size constraints, I guess the location where I put the building, I just did not have the space for that. I could have pushed it a little bit further, but I would have had to have packed down the dirt a lot more and build up the low side a lot more than I want to do. It's not something I was interested in for an extra 4 feet on one side. It's also kind of close to the road on my property, so I just didn't really want to make it any more large and obtrusive as it is. I don't want it to be an eyesore. I went with the two-tone siding because I like that, and also so it appears well to people that might drive by. It's a white and a black bottom. What else? There's a lot we're going to be doing in the building. Right now it's just a shell, obviously, with, you know, tubular metal steel frame. We are going to be putting a room in this back corner right here. I hate to call them, you know, the term man cave, but we'll call it that for lack of anything else. But it's going to be my office, and it is going to be the cave, but the wife is allowed. It's not just a man cave. In fact, one of our favorite things to do when we're young, actually still, is to play air hockey. So we're going to put an air hockey table in there eventually, and some fun stuff like that. We'll have some seating, TV, and I have some trophies. Like I used to shark fish a lot, so we'll hang that stuff up. And this will be kind of my office / hangout room. The rest of the building will be a shop. On this side over here, kind of split in two different sides. This side over here is going to be pretty much all automotive. I like to build old classic cars, and it's something that I haven't done in a little bit since we moved down here, and I think I would like to really get back into that. And then on the other side is going to be the room, and forward will be where my toolboxes are, and my welding cart, and the saws, and all that good stuff. And then I plan to do storage shelving along these walls, just so I can have extra space. Now, on top of the room, or the cave, if you will, it's going to be 8-foot ceilings, and we have 12-foot walls, and then we have, I think, almost 16 feet at the peak. So we will do a little bit of a loft up here. It's not going to be a full loft or a mezzanine where you're hanging out and partying up there, but it will be, you know, you can stand up in the center of it, and will be a good space for extra storage, because that's one thing that our house is lacking, is extra storage. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So I think the first step going forward, even probably going to start tomorrow, is I've got to get power run to the building. I started buying my wire and my materials, and my panel board's going to go right here in this front corner. I'm going to get a piece of plywood and they left me some of this extra tube metal. I'm going to frame out a 4x4 opening and get some plywood and sandwich it in there, and it'll be kind of like my my board that has my electric panel. It has a router if I need to put one, or anything other, you know, electronic devices that I might need to have a mounting surface. So I think that's going to be tomorrow's project, and we'll get that going in the next video. I don't know if I'm going to get the full electric install in the next video, but that is a priority. That's the next thing we're going to be doing, is getting power to the building. One thing that I kind of have to live with is this gap under the door. Our slab is sloped this way for drainage, ever so slightly, but, you know, over a long distance, you can start to see where it you know, you can see that slope. So this is not that big of a deal. What I intend on doing is they have tracks that you put down. It's like a rubber weather stop that actually goes onto the concrete. Stops water from coming in, and it'll make up that little bit of difference there. And then the weather stripping that they give you on the bottom of the door, you know, these roll-up doors are kind of inexpensive, and that weather stripping is a little bit cheesy. So, you know, I'll probably remove that and put a much better weather stripping on it. Combined with that rubber track on the bottom, I think that'll seal up just fine.